Welcome to Sleep Soundly. Sleep Soundly is the channel to help you calm your mind. With a combination of a thoughtful story, relaxing music, and gentle sounds, you will find your way to a restful good night's sleep. Let us help you to sleep soundly as well. I'm your host Jonathan, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the first in a series of mythical tales. We begin with one of the most epic stories from Greek mythology. The 12 Labors of Hercules is a timeless story of redemption, heroism, and the human condition. Calming music and the sounds of a warming fire will help you relax as you listen to this epic tale. Chapter 1: The Tragic Beginnings. In the heart of Thebes, a city of unparalleled beauty, there lived a young man named Hercules. His birth, a testament to the forbidden love between Zeus, the king of the gods, and Alcmena, a mortal woman, marked the beginning of a tale both tragic and magnificent. As Hercules grew, his strength became the stuff of legend. His biceps bulged like the mightiest of oaks, and his stride shook the earth beneath him. Even as a child, he could lift boulders that would crush a lesser man. But with great power came great peril, for Hercules' existence was marred by the shadow of Hera, queen of the gods. Hera, Zeus's vengeful wife, despised Hercules. His very presence reminded her of her husband's infidelity, and she vowed to make his life a never-ending torment. From the day of his birth, she sought every opportunity to bring misfortune upon him. One clear morning, as Hercules played in the meadows of Thebes, he noticed a pair of majestic eagles soaring through the sky, their wings entwined as they circled one another. A sense of wonder filled him, and he smiled, unaware of the storm that would soon descend upon his life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over Thebes, Hera's malevolent plan took shape. She whispered poisonous lies into the ears of the citizens, convincing them that Hercules posed a grave threat to their city. Rumors of his uncontrollable strength and wild nature spread like wildfire. The citizens, fearing for their safety, gathered in the town square, torches in hand, and cried out for Hercules' expulsion. His own father, Amphitryon, who had raised him as his own son, was torn between love for the boy and loyalty to his people. In the end, he had no choice but to heed the cries of the crowd. Hercules stood bewildered before the angry mob. His eyes, a reflection of the storm brewing within him, searched for answers. It was then that Amphitryon, with tears in his eyes, spoke, "My son, I do this not out of spite, but for the safety of our city. Go now, and find your own path." Tears welled up in Hercules' eyes as he turned away from the only home he had ever known. He wandered the world, seeking solace and purpose, unknowingly stepping onto a path that would lead him to greatness and redemption. Throughout his journey, the memory of his tragic beginnings haunted him. He longed to prove his worth not just to others, but to himself, to find a place where his strength could be a force for good. And so, with every step, he grew wiser, humbler, and more determined to face whatever challenges the gods and fate had in store for him. Little did Hercules know that his destiny would lead him to confront the impossible, to embark on a quest that would become the stuff of legend, the 12 labors that would test his strength, courage, and character to their limits, and ultimately bring him face to face with the gods themselves. Chapter 2: The Nemean Lion. After leaving Thebes, Hercules roamed the world as a wanderer, seeking guidance from the Oracle of Delphi. It was there, in the sacred sanctuary of Apollo, that he hoped to find answers to his tumultuous life. As he stood before the enigmatic priestess, her eyes clouded with the spirit of prophecy, he sought her counsel. "The son of Zeus seeks his destiny," he declared, his voice resonating with the weight of his troubles. The oracle, her voice an ethereal whisper, responded, "To prove your worth, Hercules, you must embark on a quest of valor and redemption. Seek out King Eurystheus, for he will assign you 12 labors that shall cleanse your soul." With the oracle's words etched into his heart, Hercules set out to find King Eurystheus, the ruler of Mycenae, who held the power to absolve him of his past deeds. Upon his arrival at Mycenae, Hercules was received with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. The king's advisor, a cunning man named Coprius, escorted him to the palace, where he came face to face with King Eurystheus. Eurystheus, a frail and cowardly man, welcomed Hercules with a sly smile. He had been informed of the oracle's prophecy and saw an opportunity to rid himself of this mighty but troubled demigod. "Hercules," he said with feigned generosity, "I have heard of your quest for redemption. I shall grant you absolution, but only if you complete 12 labors, tasks so arduous that no mortal could accomplish them. Do you accept?" Hercules, determined to prove himself and purge the guilt that plagued him, accepted the challenge without hesitation. The first of his labors was assigned: to slay the Nemean lion. The Nemean lion, a monstrous creature with fur as impenetrable as bronze, had terrorized the land of Nemea for years. It was said that no weapon could harm the beast, and its roar could send even the bravest warriors fleeing in terror. Undeterred, Hercules set out for Nemea, his mind focused on the task at hand. He ventured into the lion's lair, a dark and foreboding cave where the stench of death hung heavy in the air. The encounter with the Nemean lion was fierce and brutal. Its claws raked across Hercules' skin, drawing blood, but his determination was unshaken. With every attack, he grappled with the beast, feeling the immense strength that coursed through his veins. In a moment of desperation, Hercules used his legendary strength to wrestle the lion into submission. With immense effort, he strangled the creature, its mighty roar silenced forever. The Nemean lion lay lifeless, its impervious hide no match for Hercules' unyielding grip. As Hercules returned to Mycenae, dragging the lion's carcass as proof of his victory, the people marveled at his strength and bravery. King Eurystheus, however, watched with a mixture of awe and trepidation, realizing that he had underestimated the demigod's prowess. Hercules' journey had begun, and with the Nemean lion's pelt as his first trophy, he took his initial step toward redemption. But the road ahead was fraught with challenges, and the shadows of his past still loomed large. Chapter 3: The Lernaean Hydra. With the pelt of the Nemean lion as proof of his strength, Hercules continued his journey to complete his second labor, the slaying of the fearsome Lernaean Hydra. As he ventured deeper into the unknown, Hercules contemplated the nature of his trials and the path to redemption. The Lernaean Hydra was a monstrous serpent dwelling in the swamps of Lerna, a place teeming with darkness and malevolence. Its venomous breath and regenerative powers made it a formidable foe. Every time a head was severed, two more grew in its place, rendering it nearly invulnerable. Hercules arrived at the swamps of Lerna, a desolate and eerie place where the air was thick with dread. He had been given a bronze sword by the centaur Chiron, a trusted friend and mentor. This sword, a gift from Athena, was imbued with divine properties, and Hercules hoped it would aid him in his quest. As he ventured deeper into the swamp, the stench of decay and the echoing hiss of the Hydra grew stronger. Soon, he confronted the creature, its serpentine form coiled around the entrance to a cave. Its many heads, each with razor-sharp fangs, lunged at Hercules. Undaunted, Hercules swung his sword, lopping off one of the Hydra's heads. To his dismay, two more grew in its place. The battle raged on, with the serpent's venomous breath and thrashing tails adding to the chaos. Hercules realized that brute force alone would not defeat the Hydra. He called upon his cunning and enlisted the help of his nephew, Iolaus. Together, they devised a strategy. As Hercules severed a head, Iolaus immediately cauterized the stump with a burning torch, preventing new heads from sprouting. The battle grew fierce, and as the heads fell and were cauterized, the Hydra's roars of pain echoed through the swamp. But Hercules and Iolaus persevered, their teamwork and determination prevailing over the Hydra's regenerative abilities. Finally, after a grueling struggle, the last head of the Hydra was severed, and this time, no new ones grew in its place. Hercules took a deep breath, his body battered and covered in the creature's venomous blood. He had triumphed over the seemingly unbeatable foe. With the Hydra's lifeless body at his feet, Hercules felt a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction that he had not known before. The victory was not just about physical strength, but also about strategy, perseverance, and the willingness to adapt to challenges. As he made his way back to Mycenae, carrying the Hydra's remains, he contemplated the significance of his second labor. It was a lesson that would stay with him throughout his journey, that true strength was not solely about overpowering one's enemies, but also about outthinking them, using cunning and intelligence to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Hercules returned to King Eurystheus, who was both awed and uneasy at the sight of the Hydra's corpse. The demigod had now completed 2 of his 12 labors, and his path to redemption was becoming clearer. Yet, the trials ahead would test him in ways he could scarcely imagine, pushing him to the limits of his strength and character. Chapter 4: The Ceryneian Hind. After successfully defeating the Lernaean Hydra, Hercules found himself on the path to redemption, one labor at a time. His third task brought him to the breathtaking region of Arcadia, where he was tasked with capturing the Ceryneian Hind, a magnificent and elusive deer sacred to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. The Ceryneian Hind was unlike any other, with golden antlers and hooves that barely touched the ground. It was said to outrun the swiftest of arrows and elude even the most skilled hunters. As Hercules set forth into the pristine wilderness of Arcadia, he knew that this labor would test not only his strength, but also his agility and resourcefulness. The forests of Arcadia were dense and lush, echoing with the songs of birds and the rustling of leaves. Hercules traversed the rugged terrain, his eyes scanning for any sign of the elusive hind days turned into weeks as he pursued the creature through winding valleys and towering peaks. One day, as Hercules paused to rest by a crystal-clear stream, he saw a flash of golden fur in the distance. His heart quickened with anticipation as he realized he had finally spotted the Ceryneian hind. With the instincts of a seasoned hunter, he stealthily approached his quarry. Hercules moved with silent grace, his every muscle tense for the moment of capture. With a swift and expertly aimed throw, he managed to ensnare the hind by its golden antlers with a net he had fashioned from nearby vines. The hind struggled, its eyes wide with fear, but Hercules' grip was unrelenting. As he led the Ceryneian hind back towards Mycenae, he couldn't help but admire the creature's beauty and grace. It was a reminder that even in the pursuit of great challenges, there was room for respect and awe for the natural world. However, as he neared Mycenae, Hercules encountered a complication. Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and protector of the hind, appeared before him in a blaze of divine radiance. She was furious at the capture of her sacred animal and demanded its immediate release. Hercules, humbled and aware of the consequences of angering a goddess, spoke with sincerity, "Great Artemis, I bear no ill will towards your sacred hind. I captured it only as part of my labor, a task assigned to me to seek redemption for my past deeds." Artemis, moved by Hercules' honesty and respect for the natural world, considered his words. After a moment of contemplation, she agreed to his plea on the condition that he would release the hind unharmed once he had shown it to King Eurystheus. Hercules, true to his word, presented the Ceryneian hind to King Eurystheus, who marveled at its beauty and swiftness. The hind was returned to the wild, and Hercules had successfully completed his third labor, learning that even in the pursuit of redemption, it was essential to honor the sanctity of nature and respect the divine. As Hercules continued his journey, he reflected on the lessons he had learned so far. Each labor had challenged him in unique ways, not only testing his physical prowess, but also his character and the values he held dear. With every challenge he faced, he grew closer to the redemption he sought and the hero he aspired to become. Chapter 5: The Erymanthian Boar. Hercules' journey to redemption continued as he embarked on his fourth labor, tasked with capturing the Erymanthian boar, a ferocious creature that terrorized the region of Erymanthus. The mighty boar had been wreaking havoc, destroying crops and instilling fear in the hearts of the people. To reach Erymanthus, Hercules had to traverse dense forests and treacherous mountains. As he ascended the slopes, he encountered the chilling winds of the Erymanthian hills, where winter seemed to reign eternally. The icy gales cut through him like 1,000 knives, but he pressed on. Upon reaching the region, Hercules faced a relentless blizzard that threatened to obscure his path. He trudged through the snowdrifts, his senses heightened by the task at hand. He could sense the presence of the boar, a creature driven by primal rage and insatiable hunger. The Erymanthian boar's lair was nestled deep within the mountains, and Hercules approached it cautiously. He knew that he needed to outsmart the beast rather than confront it head-on. With this in mind, he set a cunning trap. Using the thick vines that grew abundantly in the area, Hercules fashioned a vast net, strong enough to ensnare even the mightiest of creatures. He then laid out a trail of bait, tempting the boar with the promise of an easy meal. As the boar charged towards the bait, it became entangled in the net. Its furious struggles only tightened the bonds, leaving it helpless before Hercules. The hero approached the trapped creature cautiously, aware of its formidable tusks and strength. With a single, well-aimed throw of a sturdy rope, Hercules secured the boar's powerful jaws, preventing it from attacking. He had captured the Erymanthian boar without inflicting harm upon it. Hercules then faced the arduous task of carrying the bound boar back to King Eurystheus in Mycenae. The journey through the snowy wilderness was no less challenging than the capture itself. Yet, the demigod pressed on, his determination unwavering. Upon his return, Hercules presented the Erymanthian boar to King Eurystheus, who was both astonished and apprehensive. For labors completed, and the demigod's resolve seemed to grow stronger with each trial. The king realized that ridding himself of Hercules was not going to be as simple as he had hoped. As Hercules left the palace of Mycenae, he couldn't help but reflect on the significance of his fourth labor. It had taught him that even the most savage of creatures could be captured without unnecessary harm, that strength could be tempered with wisdom and compassion. His journey toward redemption was far from over, and each labor brought him closer to his goal. With the Erymanthian boar behind him, he looked ahead to the challenges that lay ahead, knowing that his path would lead him to confront not only mythical beasts but also the inner demons that haunted him. Chapter 6: The Augean Stables. Hercules' reputation as a hero continued to grow as he embarked on his fifth labor. This time, he was tasked with cleaning the Augean stables, an enormous and neglected cattle enclosure that had not been cleaned in years. The stables, owned by King Augeas of Elis, had become a foul and overwhelming spectacle, a testament to neglect and filth. Arriving at the kingdom of Elis, Hercules was met with the overwhelming stench and sight of the Augean stables. The stench was so strong that it reached his nostrils even before he laid eyes on the colossal enclosure. Towering piles of manure and filth stretched as far as the eye could see, and it seemed an impossible task to cleanse them. Yet, Hercules was not one to be easily discouraged. He approached King Augeas and, with unwavering determination, presented himself as the man who would clean the stables in a single day. The king, who had grown skeptical of such boasts, agreed to Hercules' proposal but made a promise that would haunt him. "If you succeed," King Augeas said, "I shall grant you 1/10 of my cattle as a reward. But if you fail, you shall receive nothing." Hercules accepted the challenge, knowing that he had a plan. He requested the assistance of King Augeas' son, Phyleus, who had a claim to the throne. Phyleus supported Hercules and hoped to see his father's stables cleaned as a gesture of goodwill to the people of Elis. To accomplish this seemingly insurmountable task, Hercules devised a clever plan. He knew that the stables were adjacent to two great rivers, the Alpheus and the Peneus. With his immense strength, he would divert the rivers to flow through the stables, effectively cleansing them in a single day. Hercules and Phyleus worked tirelessly. They dug two enormous trenches, one leading from the Alpheus and the other from the Peneus. As they joined the trenches to the stables, the rivers flowed in with tremendous force, carrying away the layers of filth and debris that had accumulated over the years. The stables were cleansed in mere hours, their once putrid contents carried away by the powerful currents of the rivers. The people of Elis watched in awe as Hercules and Phyleus accomplished the impossible, their cheers echoing throughout the kingdom. King Augeas, however, was not pleased with the outcome. He had never anticipated that Hercules would succeed, and he begrudgingly acknowledged defeat. True to his word, he promised Hercules a tenth of his vast cattle. But even as Hercules received his reward, he knew that this labor held a deeper meaning. It was a testament to the power of ingenuity, determination, and cooperation. Hercules had not only cleansed the Augean stables, but also the stain on his own soul, one labor at a time. As he left the kingdom of Elis, he couldn't help but reflect on the lessons learned. The Augean stables had taught him that even the most daunting challenges could be overcome with the right strategy and a willingness to work alongside those who shared a common goal. Hercules' journey toward redemption continued, and he felt a growing sense of purpose with each labor he completed. Chapter 7: The Stymphalian Birds. Hercules' journey toward redemption carried him to the untamed wilderness surrounding Lake Stymphalia, where his sixth labor awaited him. His task was to rid the region of the Stymphalian birds, menacing creatures with sharp beaks and feathers that could be shot like deadly arrows. These vicious birds had terrorized the land, descending upon unsuspecting villages and wreaking havoc. As Hercules ventured deeper into the dense forest surrounding Lake Stymphalian, he marveled at the eerie beauty of the landscape. Towering trees created a canopy that seemed to stretch endlessly, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. The air was thick with the calls of unseen creatures. As he drew closer to the shores of Lake Stymphalian, the atmosphere changed. The air became charged with an ominous tension, and the unmistakable scent of danger hung in the air. Hercules could hear the rustle of feathers and the faint flapping of wings. The Stymphalian birds, with their metallic plumage, perched on the shores of the lake, their red eyes gleaming with malevolence. They had sharp beaks that could pierce steel armor and wings that allowed them to take flight swiftly. Their feathers, when shot like arrows, were deadly projectiles. Hercules knew that brute force alone would not be enough to defeat these formidable foes. Drawing on his cunning, he devised a plan to overcome the Stymphalian birds. He had been given a gift by the goddess Athena, a pair of bronze castanets or crotala. These musical instruments could produce a clashing noise when struck together. With the crotala in hand, Hercules began to clash them together, creating a cacophony of sound that reverberated through the forest. The clashing noise was a cacophonous assault on the sensitive ears of the birds, who shrieked in pain and confusion. As the Stymphalian birds took flight in a frenzy, Hercules seized the opportunity. He reached for his bow and arrows and, with unerring aim, shot down the birds one by one as they attempted to escape the deafening noise. The feathers that had once been their deadly arsenal now lay scattered on the forest floor. Hercules' strategy proved effective, and the Stymphalian birds were driven from the region. Their reign of terror had come to an end. With his seventh labor successfully completed, Hercules felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had learned that clever tactics and adaptability were just as valuable as brute strength in facing challenges. As he made his way back to Mycenae, he reflected on the significance of his journey and the labors that lay ahead. With each task, he grew closer to his ultimate goal of redemption, and the lessons he had learned along the way had transformed him into a hero not just of physical might but of wisdom and ingenuity. Hercules' path was clear, and he would continue to face the trials set before him with unwavering determination. Chapter 8: The Cretan Bull. Hercules' reputation as a hero continued to spread far and wide, and his journey toward redemption led him to face his seventh labor, the capture of the Cretan bull, a fearsome creature gifted to King Minos by the god Poseidon. The bull had become a terror in the region of Crete, causing havoc and destruction wherever it roamed. Arriving in Crete, Hercules marveled at the beautiful landscape with its rolling hills and azure seas. But the tranquility of the island was shattered by the menacing presence of the Cretan bull. The massive beast, with rippling muscles and fiery eyes, was a force to be reckoned with. Hercules knew that capturing the bull would be no easy task. He approached King Minos, who agreed to hand over the bull if Hercules could control it without using any weapons. The king had underestimated the demigod's strength and determination. With a deep breath and unwavering confidence, Hercules approached the Cretan bull. He moved cautiously, aware of the beast's power. With a surge of his immense strength, he grappled with the bull and, using his bare hands, wrestled it into submission. The battle was fierce, and the earth trembled beneath their struggle. But Hercules' determination and unyielding resolve prevailed. He managed to subdue the bull and bring it under his control, showcasing not only his physical prowess but also his ability to master the wildest of beasts through sheer force of will. With the Cretan bull now tamed, Hercules presented it to King Eurystheus and Mycenae, who was both amazed and unnerved by the sight of the mighty creature. It was the 8th of his 12 labors completed, and the people marveled at the hero who had proven himself time and again. As Hercules left Mycenae, he reflected on the significance of his 8th labor. He was achieving growing mastery over both physical and mental challenges. He had not only faced the brute strength of the bull but also tamed its wild spirit, a reminder that true heroism required not just physical strength but also inner strength and the ability to control one's own nature. His journey toward redemption continued, and with each labor, Hercules grew closer to the redemption he sought and the hero he aspired to be. As he ventured forth to face the challenges that lay ahead, he knew that his path would lead him not only to confront mythical beasts but also the inner demons that haunted him. Chapter 9: The Mares of Diomedes. Hercules' reputation as a formidable hero continued to spread, and his journey of redemption led him to his 8th labor, the capture of the 4 man-eating mares of Diomedes, a Thracian king with a cruel and gruesome reputation. These savage mares were the offspring of the god Ares, and their insatiable hunger for human flesh had struck terror into the hearts of the people of Thrace. King Diomedes, known for his cruelty, fed his enemies and criminals to these vicious beasts, making them even more dangerous and bloodthirsty. Hercules arrived in Thrace, greeted not by the warm embrace of its people but by the grim tales of the mare's ferocity. Determined to complete his labor, he approached King Diomedes with a request to acquire the mares. The Thracian king, seeing an opportunity to dispose of his nemesis, agreed to give Hercules the mares on one condition: that the demigod could subdue them and lead them away from Thrace. As Hercules entered the stables where the mares were kept, he was struck by their wild and untamed nature. The mares were monstrous in size, their eyes filled with a primal hunger for flesh. Their vicious neighs sent shivers down his spine. Thinking quickly, Hercules devised a plan. He approached the mares with calm and gentle gestures, speaking to them soothingly. He offered them food, hoping to gain their trust. Slowly but surely, the mares began to respond, their wildness subsiding as they accepted his offerings. With the mares now trusting him, Hercules led them away from the stables. However, King Diomedes had no intention of letting the hero succeed in his labor. He rallied his soldiers and pursued Hercules and the mares, hoping to prevent their escape. A fierce battle ensued, with Hercules and his newfound allies, the mares, facing off against the Thracian soldiers. The mares, once bloodthirsty, now fought alongside Hercules, defending their newfound protector. The battle raged on, but Hercules' strength and determination proved superior, and he emerged victorious. King Diomedes, in a cruel twist of fate, met the same end he had inflicted upon countless others. He became the prey of his own mares, torn apart by the very creatures he had once used as instruments of terror. With the mares now under his control and the threat to Thrace eliminated, Hercules completed his 8th labor. He had not only conquered the physical challenges but also demonstrated his ability to tame and redeem even the most savage of beings. As he led the mares away from Thrace, their once bloodthirsty nature transformed into one of loyalty and trust. Hercules knew that his journey of redemption was far from over, but with each labor he completed, he grew closer to his ultimate goal and became a hero not only of strength but of compassion and understanding. Chapter 10: The Girdle of Hippolyta. Hercules' journey to redemption led him to his 9th labor, a quest to obtain the Girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons and a powerful warrior. The girdle, a symbol of her authority and strength, was said to possess mystical powers. Arriving at the land of the Amazons, Hercules marveled at their society, where women ruled and were renowned for their prowess in battle. Queen Hippolyta, a formidable warrior herself, welcomed Hercules with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Hercules explained his quest for the Girdle of Hippolyta to the queen. She was intrigued by the hero's noble intentions and agreed to part with the prized artifact. However, the gods, always eager to test Hercules, intervened and sowed the seeds of mistrust. Hera, who harbored a deep-seated resentment for Hercules, took on the guise of an Amazon and spread lies among the Amazons. She claimed that Hercules intended to steal the girdle and harm their queen. Suspicion and doubt began to poison the atmosphere. As Hercules approached Queen Hippolyta to receive the girdle, the Amazons, misled by Hera's deceitful words, believed the hero to be a threat. A fierce battle erupted between Hercules and the Amazons, with the Girdle of Hippolyta at the center of the conflict. Despite his strength and valor, Hercules was outnumbered and overwhelmed by the fierce Amazons. In the midst of the chaos, Queen Hippolyta, realizing the truth of Hercules' intentions, attempted to intervene. She tried to communicate that she had willingly offered the girdle to the hero. Tragically, in the heat of battle, Hippolyta was struck by a stray arrow and mortally wounded. The realization of their terrible mistake dawned upon the Amazons, and they ceased their attack. As Hippolyta lay dying, she entrusted the Girdle of Hippolyta to Hercules, who grieved for the loss of a noble and honorable queen. With the girdle in his possession, Hercules departed from the land of the Amazons, a heavy heart weighing upon him. He had completed his 9th labor, but the cost had been high. The loss of Queen Hippolyta was a reminder that the path to redemption was fraught with challenges and sacrifices. As he continued his journey, he contemplated the lessons he had learned from this labor. It was a testament to the consequences of mistrust and deception, and the importance of seeing beyond appearances to discover the truth. Hercules' quest for redemption had taken him through trials of both body and spirit, and with each labor, he grew closer to the hero he aspired to be. Chapter 11: The Cattle of Geryon. Hercules' odyssey toward redemption brought him to the distant land of Erythea, where his 10th labor awaited him. His task was to steal the cattle of Geryon, a colossal and fearsome creature with 3 heads, owned by the giant Geryon himself. To reach Erythea, Hercules embarked on an arduous journey that took him to the edge of the known world. He traversed desolate landscapes and crossed treacherous seas, facing storms that threatened to engulf his ship. Yet, his determination never wavered. Upon reaching Erythea, Hercules encountered the formidable Geryon, a giant of immense strength and power. Geryon, who guarded the prize cattle with unwavering vigilance, saw the heroes approach and prepared to defend his prized possessions. A fierce battle ensued between Hercules and Geryon. The giant's 3 heads spewed forth fiery breath, and his sheer size made him a formidable foe. But Hercules' strength and skill proved superior. With a combination of brute force and strategic prowess, he defeated Geryon and claimed the prize cattle. The cattle, magnificent in size and strength, were unlike any other. Their hides shimmered like precious gems, and their lowing echoed with an otherworldly resonance. As Hercules herded them towards his ship, he couldn't help but marvel at their majesty. However, the journey back to Mycenae with the cattle of Geryon proved to be a formidable challenge. Along the way, Hercules encountered numerous obstacles, from monstrous creatures to treacherous terrain. He faced giants, fierce winds, and wild storms, each obstacle testing his strength and resolve. The most formidable challenge of all came when he reached the Straits of Gibraltar, a narrow passage that connected the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea. It was there that the Titan Atlas, burdened with holding up the heavens, confronted Hercules. Atlas, who had grown weary of his eternal task, offered to take the cattle of Geryon from Hercules and complete the hero's labor in exchange for a brief respite from his burden. Hercules, ever resourceful, agreed to Atlas's proposal but set a condition. He asked Atlas to hold the heavens for a moment while he adjusted his cloak as padding for his shoulders. The Titan, eager to be free, agreed. However, once Atlas had taken the weight of the heavens upon his shoulders again, Hercules seized the opportunity and swiftly departed with the cattle. As he left Atlas behind, Hercules felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had completed his 10th labor, overcoming the most challenging obstacles and outwitting even a Titan. The cattle of Geryon, now under his control, were a symbol of his unyielding determination and resourcefulness. As he continued his journey to Mycenae, Hercules reflected on the lessons he had learned from this labor. He showed the power of determination, ingenuity, and adaptability in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Each labor had brought him closer to his goal of redemption, and with each trial, he grew into the hero he aspired to be. Chapter 12: The Apples of the Hesperides. Hercules' journey of redemption neared its culmination as he faced his 11th labor to retrieve the apples of the Hesperides, a task of great significance and mystique. These apples were guarded by the Hesperides, nymphs of the evening, and were said to bestow immortality upon those who consumed them. To reach the sacred garden of the Hesperides, Hercules embarked on a journey to the western edge of the world, where the boundaries between the mortal realm and the divine blurred. The path was treacherous, leading him through dense forests, across mighty rivers, and over towering mountains. Upon reaching the garden, Hercules encountered the three Hesperides, nymphs with ethereal beauty, who were entrusted with the guardianship of the apples. The nymphs, with their eyes gleaming like the stars, were hesitant to relinquish their prized possession. Hercules explained his purpose: to retrieve the apples as part of his 12 labors and to bring them to King Eurystheus. The Hesperides, however, were reluctant to part with the sacred fruit, fearing that it would fall into the wrong hands. In a gesture of compassion, Hercules shared his own burden with the nymphs, telling them of his quest for redemption and the trials he had endured. Moved by his sincerity and understanding, the Hesperides agreed to help him. They revealed that the guardian of the apples, a fearsome dragon named Lernaean, slumbered nearby. The nymphs plucked the apples from the tree while Hercules stood guard, ready to confront the guardian should he awaken. As the nymphs handed over the apples of the Hesperides, Hercules felt a sense of profound gratitude. He had completed his final labor, and the precious fruit was a symbol of his journey toward redemption and the lessons he had learned along the way. However, his journey was far from over. As he returned to Mycenae with the apples of the Hesperides, he faced a dilemma. King Eurystheus, who had assigned him the 12 labors, coveted the apples for himself, desiring their power and immortality. But Hercules had grown wiser through his trials, and he could not allow the sacred fruit to be misused for selfish gain. He presented the apples to the gods, returning them to their rightful place among the divine. Chapter 13: Retrieving Cerberus from Hades. Hercules, having successfully completed 11 of his 12 labors, stood at the threshold of his final and most perilous task. King Eurystheus had tasked him with the unimaginable: to journey to the underworld and bring back Cerberus, the three-headed hound guarding the gates of Hades. The descent into the realm of the dead was fraught with danger, but Hercules steeled himself for the challenge. He knew that this labor would test not only his physical strength, but also his courage and resourcefulness. Guided by the wisdom of Athena and armed with the invincible blade bestowed upon him by Hephaestus, Hercules ventured to the edge of the mortal world, where the Stygian river marked the boundary between life and death. There, he encountered Ceryn, the ferryman of the dead. Who dares to cross into the realm of shadows? Ceryn demanded, his voice echoing like a mournful dirge. I am Hercules, son of Zeus, the hero declared. I come to fulfill my 12th labor and bring Cerberus back to the world of the living. Ceryn, recognizing the hero's divine lineage and determination, agreed to transport him across the dark and turbulent waters of the Styx. As the boat glided through the spectral mist, Hercules could feel the weight of the mortal world lifting from his shoulders, replaced by an eerie stillness. Upon reaching the far shore, Hercules encountered the chilling river Lethe, whose waters induced forgetfulness. He resisted the temptation to drink from it, for he knew that he must remain resolute and remember his purpose. Hades, the god of the underworld, awaited Hercules in his shadowy domain. The Lord of the Dead regarded the hero with a cold and calculating gaze. Why have you come, Hercules? Hades inquired, his voice a whisper of icy wind. "I come to retrieve Cerberus, as commanded by King Eurystheus," Hercules replied, his voice unwavering. Hades, though reluctant, recognized the authority of the 12 Labors and permitted Hercules to take Cerberus, but with one condition: the hero must subdue the beast without using weapons. Hercules agreed to Hades' terms and descended deeper into the underworld. There, he encountered Cerberus, a monstrous and awe-inspiring creature with 3 snarling heads, each with fangs that dripped venom. The battle that ensued was like none other Hercules had faced. Cerberus lunged and snapped, his heads working in unison to overpower the hero. Hercules grappled with the beast, using all his strength and cunning to avoid its venomous bites. With sheer determination, Hercules managed to subdue the mighty Cerberus, wrestling the creature into submission. He held the hound in an unbreakable grip, his divine strength prevailing over the guardian of the underworld. Cerberus, once fierce and untamed, now yielded to Hercules' will. The hero carefully led the hound back to the world of the living, crossing the river Styx once more with the beast in tow. As Hercules emerged from the underworld, he was met with the triumphant cheers of the people who had gathered to witness his return. The sight of the hero and the mighty Cerberus struck awe and admiration into their hearts. With the final labor completed, Hercules presented Cerberus to King Eurystheus, who, overwhelmed by the sight of the fearsome hound, quickly ordered the hero to return it to the underworld. And so, Cerberus was led back to Hades, his reign as guardian of the underworld restored. Hercules' journey had come full circle, and he had not only redeemed himself, but had also demonstrated the true nature of heroism, a combination of strength, courage, and compassion. The gods, recognizing Hercules' transformation and his dedication to the greater good, rewarded him with a place among the immortals. They welcomed him as a hero and granted him the gift of immortality, allowing him to ascend to Mount Olympus. Hercules, now among the gods, found the redemption he had sought throughout his arduous journey. He had become not only a hero of immense strength, but also a symbol of courage, compassion, and wisdom. His trials had forged him into a paragon of virtue, and his legend would endure for eternity. As Hercules stood among the gods on Mount Olympus, he gazed out at the mortal world, knowing that his legacy would continue to inspire generations to come. His journey had been one of transformation and self-discovery, demonstrating the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most formidable of challenges.